Shabbat Shalom. Glory and honor and power and blessing be to Father Yahweh, the Most High, the only true God, and to his people, Israel, his only chosen people. To the Son, Messiah, who is the blood of the everlasting covenant, and the sacrifice to bring his people back to his Father into covenant relation. Blessing and honor and glory to the name of Messiah YHWH'S forever, the soon coming King, the prophet, the high priest, the sacrifice, and the King to come. Glory and honor to his name. Greetings to the 12 tribes who are the chosen of Israel. Greetings to the 144,000 among them, being prepared to prepare the way for the return of Messiah. Greetings to the Gentiles who have received the truth of the Father's perfect righteousness with Israel and are head of their cousins, being prepared to meet our cousin. Greetings to the chat, Yakoba Ben Israel, Stephen Kelly, Brother Diamond Holdings, Chaplain Lewis, Isha Shama and our husband Ish, Superstar Brother Gary Joseph, my brother, Akmar, Imana Bakash, my brother, Nasia Wade, wife, and Naviska 23, husband with his wife and children, Kyra Cross from across the world, Akawan Banya and his wife and children. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Greetings. We have been studying Deuteronomy. We're in chapter 20 today, and I want to just share some things because this is one of those chapters that the awakened people who read their Bible will understand and know, but that the falsehoods of Christianity, for example, will not know nor understand. But if you read your Bible, and please start at Genesis and read through the book of Revelation and everything in between, skip nothing, and the Most High will bless you and guide you and change your life with this book, they will know. What am I talking about? Well, you see, brethren, if you were a Christian, you were used to a soft, flowery, usually Caucasian Jesus that just loves everybody and is telling everybody that they're all going to be saved and nobody's going to be lost and all of that bunk. But when you read the word, you kind of get a different story. And the theme of the story, as you will see, in fact, let me start first in Zechariah. And again, this is again where it's a doctrine where, again, it's very important, brothers and sisters, as we always say. And this is, and again, I was talking to Brother Imana Bakash the other day. We were texting back and forth, and he had asked me a question about a certain thing. And it was a doctrine or a teaching that somebody had brought forth. And my question, Imana Bakash will tell you, was what do we need to establish a doctrine? And he correctly said, 2 or 3 witnesses. That's right, 2 or 3 witnesses. And just for those that are new and may not have heard this before, when we say 2 or 3 witnesses, number one, we're talking about what Messiah taught us, what Paul taught us, and first what Moses taught us, that with the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Now, in the Bible, when we say 2 or 3 witnesses, we're talking about 2 or 3 different Hebrew Israelite prophets who are the Bible writers that the Father used. So, for example, if you're going to use Moses as a witness, you have Genesis to Deuteronomy, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and that's all just one witness because that's Moses. If you're going to use the writings of the Apostle Paul, all his writings are just one witness because that's the Apostle Paul. See? So there's 40 different Bible writers, so you have plenty of room to get 2 or 3 of them as witnesses for a doctrine. 2 or 3 witnesses, see? And so That's how you establish doctrines in the Bible. You don't just use one verse and establish a whole doctrine, as many churches that have been established do. No, you read the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. And here's a situation where today we're talking about a specific doctrine of the Most High's vengeance, where you want to have 2 or 3 witnesses, because otherwise people will not believe, nor understand, nor agree. And so generally speaking, what I try to do is use New Testament witnesses as well as Old Testament witnesses, so that people can see it's both New and Old Testament. So here, let's start in Zechariah. And let's read chapter 14 of Zechariah, chapter 14 of the prophet Zechariah, chapter 14, the last chapter of the prophecy of Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 14, beginning at verse 1. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. So there's a day coming. It's called the day of Yahweh. Okay. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. So he's saying that all the nations, that is, all the Gentile nations, will be gathered together against Jerusalem. And of course, that's against Israel. This is a theme you're going to see in all the witnesses that we bring up. You're going to see the same thing. All of these nations coming together against Israel. Okay. Now, that also, we're going to see the deliverance will come from the Father Yah, Messiah, and all the saints. The deliverance going to come. But this is a common theme from all the witnesses I'm going to show you. Okay, so you know it's not just me making this up. There's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 witnesses to share what we're talking about. And that's not even including what we're reading tonight in Deuteronomy chapter 20. So here it says, and the city shall be taken, the houses rifled, the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the rest of the people shall not be cut off from the city. So now he's showing the history of what happened. He said that the city was taken, the women rifled, houses ravished, and we went into captivity. But now, verse 3, then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. His feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley. And half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the day of Uzziah, king of Judah. And Yahweh my Most High shall come, and all the saints with thee. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to Yahweh, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. Okay, and that's what Revelation also testifies. It said there's no need of the sun at the city, because there's no night there. It's always light. Okay, and it shall be in that day that living waters shall go from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter it shall be. Again, Revelation 22 talks about the living waters flowing from the throne. Ezekiel chapter 47 talks about the same thing. John, Ezekiel, and here's Zechariah, 3 witnesses about the river of life. Okay. Verse 9, and Yahweh shall be king over all the earth. In that day there shall be one Yahweh, and his name one. No worshiping a whole bunch of different gods. Just one God. All the people of the earth will worship one God. Praise the Most High. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, from the tower of Hananeel unto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. So after there's an attack on Jerusalem, the Most High will go forth and fight with the saints. And then they're going to win, obviously, and it's going to be safely inhabited Jerusalem. And there shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahweh shall be among them, that shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacles. This is all that remains from the nations. They're going to be obedient to Father Yah and keep the feast of the tabernacles. They'll come to Jerusalem to keep the feast of the tabernacles. Praise the Most High. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith Yahweh shall smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of the tabernacle. And this shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of the tabernacle. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yahweh, and the pots of Yahweh's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and Judah shall be holiness unto Yahweh of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and shall see therein. In that day there shall be no more Canaanite in the house of Yahweh of hosts. So there's an attack, there's a response that ends in the destruction of the wicked, and Jerusalem is safely inhabited with the inhabitants of the nations that are left. Okay, that's just one witness. We got a lot of more. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 30. What are we going to start with? I can go 38 or 39. Hold on. Let's say Ezekiel, because both of them is first. Okay. I'd like to read 39, but I don't want to read the whole chapter for time. Similar things will come upon. Well, let me start. Let's go at 39. I'm gonna go from 39 down to from chapter 39, from verse 1 down to verse 10. Okay. Actually, from 1 to 12. I like number 12, don't y'all? From 1 to 12. Ezekiel 39, 1 through 12. Therefore, thou son of man, prophecy against Gog. We already know who Gog is, don't we? And say, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. We know who they are. But I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee what? To come up from the north part, and I will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. See, it's an attack again, just like Zechariah prophesied, an attack on Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and cause thine arrows to fall out of their right hand. See how they trust in their weapons and their bombs and stuff is not going to help them in that day. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and all the people that is with thee. And I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. And thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, said the Most High Yahweh. I will send a fire on Magog. We know who that is, right? And among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel. Again, the theme is Israel as the centerpiece, his chosen people. Also, an attack from the heathen, and he's more specific here. He said the children of Gog, Magog, Meshach, and Tubal, which we know to be, from Genesis chapter 10, children of Japhet, the Europeans. Now, they ain't tell you that in Christianity and Sunday school, did they? They didn't tell you that in Sabbath school, did they? That the children of Yefet are going to attack the true Israelite people, and the Most High is going to respond. And that is the children of Yefet leading the charge. The Bible say they're going to be food for the birds. We also saw similar in Zechariah when he said, this is the plague that he's going to smite the heathen. Here's my second witness. Wait a minute. Behold, it is come. It is done, said the Most High Yahweh. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they shall dwell in the cities of Israel. They that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth and set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the handstaves and the spears. They shall burn them with fire 7 years, destroying all that the heathen came to attack Israel with. Their tanks, their guns, their bombs, their planes, destroyed. So that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire. They shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them. Remember that? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword. This is the patience and faith of the saints. Verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea. It shall drop the noses, it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and they shall bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hamon Gog. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying them, that they may cleanse the land. Second witness. Let's go to the third witness. Jeremiah. Third witness, Jeremiah chapter 51. Jeremiah chapter 51. Let's see here. Jeremiah 51. Oh, man, there's so much in Jeremiah 51. I'm just telling you, there's a lot. When you get a chance, you should read the whole chapter. We're not going to do it today. But when you get a chance, you really should read the whole chapter. It's amazing. Let's see. I'm just trying to decide where I should start because there's so much here. Okay. I'm going to go Jeremiah 51. I'm going to go Jeremiah 51. I'm going to start at verse 5. And I'm going to go down to verse, oh my goodness. I'm going to go down to verse 24. This is a big chapter. This chapter has 64 verses. So but we're not reading the whole thing. But when you get a chance, go ahead and read the whole thing with your whole Bible. But read chapter 51 of Jeremiah. So Jeremiah chapter 51, we're just trying to get to the meat of it here, from verse 5 down to verse 24. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his Most High, of Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. That goes with Revelation 14 and Revelation 18. Be not cut off in her iniquity. Remember, that ye be not partakers of her sins. Remember that? For this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance, and he will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken, the wine of Babylon. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches unto heaven. Doesn't that sound like Revelation 18? You remember what Babylon is, right? It's a whole system. It's a system of religion, government, politics, money and banking, entertainment. It's the whole thing. That whole thing is Babylon. It's a system, right? Let's see. and is lifted up even unto the skies. Verse 10, Yahweh hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh our Most High. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes, for Yahweh hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come in the measure of thy covetousness. Yahweh of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars. They shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and he hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. He uttereth his voice. There is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe. That is Israel. Thou, he says, art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee I will break in pieces the nations. Remember, thou shalt rule them with a rod of iron. Remember that? With thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. For with thee also will I break in pieces the man and the woman, and with thee will I break in pieces the old and the young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. With thee will I break in pieces the captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahweh. That's the third witness. So far, what we got? Zechariah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah. We got witnesses, don't we? We got witnesses, right? Okay. Let's go to New Testament. I mean, we could keep going Old Testament, but let's go New Testament. Let's go New Testament. Let's visit Peter, Kapha, the apostle that was called to minister unto the Israelites. Kapha, Peter, 2 Peter, chapter 3. 2 Peter, chapter 3. 2 Peter, chapter 3. Let's see. I'm going to begin at verse 1, 2 Peter, chapter 3. Matter of fact, I'm going to begin at verse 1. I'm going to read chapter 3. Yeah, 18 verses. Chapter 3, 2 Peter, chapter 3. Remember now, Peter was called to minister to the Hebrews. Remember what Paul said? Paul said he was called to the circumcision, and Peter and James and John to the uncircumcision. So when you're reading the letters of Peter, James, and John, understand they're writing to Hebrews. 2 Peter chapter 3. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by the way of remembrance, that ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets. That would be Old Testament prophets. And of the commandment of us apostles of Yahweh and Savior, knowing this, that there shall come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lust. That's definitely happened. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that the word of Yahweh, by the word of Yahweh, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. That's talking about the flood. See, for those say it was an allegory, it was a parable. No, it was no parable. Peter said that's what happened. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day with Yahweh is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. Yahweh is not slack concerning his promise, but as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of Yahweh, wherein the heavens on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat? Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. See, covered in perfection. See, wherefore, beloved, see that ye look for such things, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. That is by the righteousness of the Father, that we are being made perfect in his righteousness through faith in the blood of the covenant, which is Messiah Yahushua. Okay, so Messiah makes us perfect by the cleansing of his blood. That's why he says the remission of sins. You see, when a human being has no sin on them, they are what's called sinless. And you must be sinless to be accepted by the Father. You become sinless through the blood of the Messiah, so that he can bring you to your Father, because he has covered you with Father's perfect righteousness, which you receive, as Peter said, coming to repentance. Praise the Most High. Well, let's see. And account that the long suffering of our master is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also, according to the wisdom given him, hath written unto you. Also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which some things are hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also the other scriptures, unto their own destruction. Where we, therefore, beloved, seeing that ye know these things before, beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness, but grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Master and Savior, Yahushua Mashiach. To him be glory both now and forever. Amen. Witness number 4. But let's continue. Let's go to Revelation for the 5th witness. Revelation chapter 19, we're very well aware. Revelation 19, and the people coming against Jerusalem and Israel and the Messiah and his saints. You see, there's a theme here. There's going to be people coming against Messiah and against his saints. These people are going to be led by Gentiles that are from the children of Japhet. There'll be all people with them from all over the earth, but they'll be led by the children of Japhet, as we see right now today. Children of Japhet are leading this world. This world is doomed to destruction, as Peter just told us, and as Jeremiah just told us, is doomed to destruction, and is led by the children of Japhet, not by the children of Israel. But the God of Israel and the Messiah of Israel is going to turn things around. Revelation chapter 19, verse 11. From verse 11 down to verse 21. Revelation chapter 19, from verse 11. This is our fifth witness. And I got more. From verse 11 down to verse 21. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So the man on the white horse is going to judge and make war. Doesn't sound like soft and flowery, peaceful to me. He said he's going to judge and make war. Verse 12. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written which no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Remember, the fine linen, as it says in that very chapter, is the righteousness of saints. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall, there it is, he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And remember, he called Israel his battle axe and his weapons of war. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty Yahweh, or Al Shaddai. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Remember, this is our fifth witness. It's not like I'm just using this one thing and telling y'all what's going on. You heard Zechariah say it. You heard Ezekiel say it. You heard Jeremiah say it. You heard Peter say it. And now John is saying it. This is our fifth Hebrew Israelite witness. Verse 17. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Most High, that ye may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains. Didn't he say in Ezekiel he was going to have the birds eat the flesh? Yeah. In the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast. Watch this. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So they were gathered together to fight against the man on the white horse, who was the Messiah, and against his people, just like Zechariah said, just like Ezekiel said. Look at that. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. Remember, the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet. Well, the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet. Now, when you continue reading into chapter 20, the dragon was also taken and placed into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. So the beast, the dragon, the false prophet put out of business. Let's take a look. Yep. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth. And all the fowls were filled with their flesh. So you can see it's not going to be no peaceful transition of power. Messiah is going to come to Israel, to the land where Israel is, take that land, have the New Jerusalem set on that land, and you're going to have people from the four corners of the earth, led by the children of Yafet, come to try and take the city. And they're going to be destroyed. You see, brethren, the reason I brought all of this up is we get ready to read Deuteronomy chapter 20. And you're going to see a similar situation, a very similar situation. Let's take a look. Deuteronomy chapter 20. I praise the Most High for his word, man. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, how it all harmonizes like a song, a beautiful song. The word of the Most High from Genesis to Revelation, it just harmonizes. See? Praise the Most High. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 20, beginning at verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 20, beginning at verse 1. Let's see here. I'm going to start at verse 1, and I'm going to go down to verse 8. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and the people more than thou, be not afraid of them. For Yahweh thy most high is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Who is he with? He's with the people that he brought up out of the land of Egypt. Didn't he say that? He's the Most High brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Who? Let me ask you again. Where exactly on the planet today is Egypt? Like, what continent is that on? Is that on the European continent? Is it in Asia? I mean, what continent is it on? Oh, it's in Africa. Okay, so that means, say, the children of Israel, some people say 400 years. My studies say it indicates it's like between 100, 200 years. But let's say 200 years. So the children of Israel were in Africa for 2 centuries. Let me ask you something, man. Let's say you took 70 white people, because Jacob came to Egypt with 70 souls. Let's say you took 70 white people and you brought them down into Africa. And they stayed in Africa, Black Africa, for 200 years. And one of them at least married an African woman and had 2 sons with her that became 2 of the tribes of Israel. Would you think that they would be as white when they left as when they came in 200 to 400 years before that? I mean, would you think they'd still be as white when they left Africa as when they went into Africa 200 years before? I mean, what would you think? So you get 70 white people, assuming they was white people, and they went down into Africa, dark Ham Africa, and they was there for 200 years. In fact, they was in Africa for 400 years when you count Canaan, because the land of Canaan was filled with Hamites. So they were 400 years among dark people. Do you think they would remain white? I mean, do you think that those people would remain white? Even if they were white in the beginning, would they remain so after 400 years of being around dark people and mixing with them? Of course not. And let me ask you this, being that you've read this book, does the Bible ever say that after being in Africa for 400 years, they made their way to Northern Europe, to Russia? Does it ever say that they just transferred up there and stayed there? Does it say that? No. All right, let's talk common sense then. Let's talk common sense. No matter what color they was, after being with Africans and Hamites for 400 years, you best believe they're going to have some color. They're going to be at least brown, if not black. Right? After 400 years, I'm saying. They're going to be at least brown. And look. Didn't Joel say, no, it wasn't Joel, it was Zephaniah. I got Joel and Zephaniah. Both of them say, I got 2 witnesses there. Didn't they say they were sold by the Grecians and they were sold to the Grecians and to the Hamites? And didn't it say that they went beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, that is through Africa? And didn't Isaiah say that's where he's going to call them back from? Didn't those 3 witnesses say that? So what's the likelihood of them being anything but black? Not only that, wasn't Moses mistaken for wasn't he mistaken for an Egyptian? Somebody said, well, he might have been dressed like an Egyptian. Okay. But didn't the Greek man look upon the Apostle Paul and said, aren't you that Egyptian? Didn't he? What would he look upon the Apostle Paul and say, aren't you that Egyptian in the book of Acts? Why would he look upon him and say, was it because of how he was dressed? Aren't you that Egyptian? He was asked. And didn't Joseph have the double blessing from his father, the blessing of the firstborn, in the lineage of Ephraim and Manasseh, whom he had with the daughter of a black priest in Egypt? Didn't he? Didn't he have 2 children with this sister? And they became 2 of the tribes of Israel? Didn't he? I mean, I'm just asking some common sense questions. I mean, for those of us that actually read this book, that's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So we know what these brothers look like. We know that Samson didn't have no Goldilocks when he said he had 7 locks of hair. Samson had what they call them today? Dreadlocks. That's what Samson had. Didn't he? Hey, what kind of hair you need to make dreadlocks? I'm just playing. Okay. I'm just trying to say, the Bible is telling us a lot of stuff here if we would read it. Okay, so he said, don't be afraid of them people. Don't be afraid. They're going to be more than you. They're going to be bigger than you. Don't be afraid. Deuteronomy chapter 20. Okay, let's read again from verse 1 down to verse 8. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies and seest horses and chariots and the people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for Yahweh thy most high is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt from the Africans. And it shall be when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For Yahweh your most high is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. So they were being sent out to war against their enemies. Yahweh was going with them, but they were also fighting. And let me say something else. They had our brother, the dog, with him. The dog was with him, right? The dog was with him, right? The dog was with him. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That's right. Caleb was with him. They had the dog with him. Okay. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that hath built a new house and hath not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that hath planted a vineyard and hath not eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle and another man eat of it. And what man is there that hath betrothed the wife and hath not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his. Now, let's think about this for a second. The children of Israel were going to take Canaan. They hadn't taken it yet. At the time they were getting ready to take Canaan, they had land that was east of Jordan, right? They had the land east of Jordan that 2.5 tribes had taken, right? That is the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh. So they hadn't taken it. So why is he going through this? Because they wouldn't have owned houses and land yet. Because you know why? because none of them was scared. They was coming to take that land. They was coming, okay, to take that land. Let me tell you something else. We read when the Messiah come on the white horse. We read where the children of Israel get attacked and the Most High sends out his people like battle axes. Let me tell you something. You and I are those people. You believe that? You and I are those people. What am I saying? We're going to go attack white people now? No. It ain't white people. It ain't about their color. Matter of fact, we're going to have some Caucasian people with us on our side. So who is it then? It's the redeemed children of Israel's bloodline. And with them, the people that have come. Matter of fact, let me show you something, man. Let me show you something. Talking about the children of Israel. Let me explain to you why when the Messiah said, drink this wine and eat this bread, because this is the blood of the New Testament, right? Let me show you this real quick, because you know what? Let me tell you something, man. That's not the first time that was done. You know it was done in Exodus, right? Yeah, it was. Messiah just repeated, and there was a reason for the repeat. Let me show you something. Let's just divert for 1 second. Let me just show you something, okay? I think you'll be blessed. That's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you Messiah. Messiah is all over. Matter of fact, Messiah pretty much is in every book of the Old Testament. Okay, he really pretty much is. But I'm just going to pick this one so you can see him. Okay, and you can understand why he came. Why he returned to the earth for Israel. And somebody said, well, what about the Gentiles? I'm going to show you that too. Hold on. Right here. Okay. I'm going to read Exodus chapter 24. I'm going to read Exodus 24. Just a little diversion. Exodus, not really though, but Exodus chapter 24 from verse 1 down to verse 8. Okay. Exodus 24 from verse 1 down to verse 8. Watch carefully now, please. As I always tell you, please read this on your own when you get a chance, okay? Don't take my word for it. Read it for yourself. With your father and your father's spirit, and he will bless you and guide you and direct your path. Read this book for yourself. I'm here to teach you. The Most High does have me here to teach you. And as your teacher, I am telling you from the Most High, go read this book for yourself and pray to your heavenly Father and ask for his spirit and let him teach you. And any teacher worth his salt will tell you the same thing. Okay? Exodus chapter 24 from verse 1 down to verse 8. Watch closely. And he said unto Moses, come up unto Yahweh, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near Yahweh. But they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh, and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice. All the people, that is, wait, before we continue, who people is he talking about? Who people is Moses talking about? Is he talking about Babylonians, Egyptians? Who is he talking about? The children of Israel. That's it. Yasharah. Okay. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh have said, we will do. They're making a promise to the Father. Listen carefully now. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahweh and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. In case you didn't know, this is for the 12 tribes. Okay. And he sent young men of the children of Israel to offer burnt offerings and sacrifice peace offerings of oxen unto Yahweh. Okay. Verse 6. And Moses took half of the blood, that is the blood from the oxen, and put it in basins. And half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. That was the altar that was sacrificed. The animals were sacrificed on. So he took half and he sprinkled it on the altar, and he put other part in basins. That is, he put it in bowls. Okay. Verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant See, he had wrote down the covenant that was written on stone. He wrote it in a scroll. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. So he reads the covenant to the people, the one that they heard from Mount Sinai. And they said, all that Yahweh has said we will do and be obedient. So now they're promising obedience to Father Yah. Okay? He sprinkled the blood on the altar. That was the sacrificial place of the animal. He took the animal's blood that he sprinkled on, and he put the rest in the basins. And he said, and then Moses, verse 8, and Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh hath made with you concerning all these words. Here's a quiz question. I told you to listen carefully now. Where was Messiah? He was there. Where was Messiah in those 8 verses? He was there. Remember, here you have a covenant between Father Yah and the children of Israel. Where was Messiah? He was there. Where was he? That's exactly right. He is the blood. He is the blood. So let's look at this. So Messiah is the blood of the covenant. The altar was made holy with the blood. The covenant had the blood on it, and the people had the blood on them. That's why when you look at Matthew chapter 26, and that's the blood of the covenant, so that the blood of the covenant made the people clean. And the cleaning of the people made them be available to be brought in covenant relationship with the Father. Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26. Let's see. Okay, Matthew chapter 26. I'm going to read from verse 26 down, and I'm going to read from verse 26 down to verse 29. Matthew 26 from 26 to 29. Watch carefully, because we're seeing the same thing right here. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat. This is my body. That's the body of the animal. And he took the cup and gave thanks and said, and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is the blood of the New Testament. The word testament is the word covenant, synonymous. So you could say new covenant, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Wait a minute, before we continue. When Moses killed that ox, sprinkled that blood on the altar that the ox was sacrificed on, sprinkled it on the covenant itself, and sprinkled it on the people, we already saw it was for Israel. Now, let me ask you all a question. A stranger can come, but that stranger would be among who? Israel. A stranger that was going to come and receive that covenant, they could come, but they would be coming among who? Israel. Correct? In other words, he wasn't going to do that in Egypt with the Egyptians. He wasn't going to do that in Babylon with the Babylonians. He wasn't going to do it in Germany. He wasn't going to do it in Russia. If you were going to get in that, you either were the bloodline or you were going to be among the bloodline. Right? Married into the bloodline. Right? You'd be among the bloodline. Here in the New Testament. So here he said, shed for the remission of sins. See, brethren, when you don't have sin, you are sinless. You cannot come to the Father unless you are sinless. When you come to the Father in repentance, you are coming in the blood of that covenant that is Messiah. And because he is the blood of the covenant for the remission of your sins are removed. And you can come to your Father now because Messiah said, my blood covers you. And you come into covenant with your Father. And you say, all that the Father said, I will do, and be obedient. All that the Father said, I will do, and be obedient. And isn't that what we say when we get baptized, brethren? We're going what? Trust in Yahweh with all our heart and lean not to our own understanding. In all our ways, acknowledge him, and he promises to direct our paths. That's right. So the blood that you saw Moses kill is Messiah. And that blood was on the covenant, on the altar that was sacrificed, and on the people, because all of them are joined together. The covenant is the word of the Father, and it's the word of the Father representing him. And Messiah is called the word of the Father that was sacrificed to bring us to the Father in covenant relationship. You cannot come to the Father and be accepted with sin on you. And Messiah said this is the new covenant. That is a renewed covenant. So his sacrifice, he is the actual sacrifice. Moses, they had a symbol of the Messiah in the ox. That was a symbol of the Messiah. Just like the lamb's blood over the doorpost in Egypt was a symbol of the Messiah. Those that were under the blood, see? If you're under the blood of the covenant, which is Messiah, this destroying angel pass over. And you're eating of that lamb whose blood was over. Y'all know that, right? You're eating of the lamb whose blood was over the doorpost. You're eating lamb that was roasted in fire. Okay? And that's why he said, when he took the bread, he said, that's my body. He's the lamb. That's my body. He said, eat. He said, drink the wine. He said, because that's my blood shed for the remission of sin. And why did he do that? Why did he need to do that? Because, brethren, ultimately, the goal is to bring us back to our Father. The goal is to bring us like Adam was before he sinned. Adam's father is our Father. Adam was made perfect until he sinned. So he brings us Messiah's job as the covenant, as the sacrifice of the covenant and of the blood, is to cleanse us from our sin so that we can be received by the Father. And the Father, through Messiah, offers us perfect, that's what that blood, perfect righteousness is offered, so that we can come to the Father and he sees no sin on us. Not because we've never sinned, and that's why it's given by grace. We don't deserve it. It's not like we did anything to earn it. It's because of his grace we receive. And first given to Israel, because the covenant is to Israel. See, he wasn't going to no other people with that. He said, you who are brought out of the land of Egypt is for you. That's right. That's right. To the Jew first and then to the Gentile, and to the Gentile through the Jew. See, that's why Paul said in Romans chapter 2, he said, to the Jew first, who have come through by faith, and to the Gentile who comes through faith. See, because the Gentile come through Israel to get to the Father. The Israelite is directly with the Father because it's their cousin, literally, that shed his blood for them. It's their cousin. Okay? See that? See that? Praise the Most High. See that? So now, it's powerful. And the reason it's powerful too, brethren, is just think of this now. So the Father's preparing us right now. He's preparing us right now. And we're going to be prepared by the Father and be perfected by the Father, so that when Messiah returns, he's returning to what is truly his perfected people. Now, let me ask you, did I once mention you need to go to some church and be a member? Did I once mention we need to give money for this? Did I once mention we need a building to make this happen? As a matter of fact, truth be told, they were outside. When they did this whole thing in Exodus 24, they were outside. They were outside, brethren. They weren't in no church building. They were outside. Praise the Most High. Isn't that powerful though? Daggone, man. And see, that is what Messiah meant when he said, take this bread and eat it, because now you're eating the lamb. Remember, Messiah was crucified at the Passover. That was no coincidence. It was one was symbol of the other, right? So he was crucified. He said, eat, this is my body. You eating the lamb. Then he said, drink the wine. This is the blood of the new covenant. That's what Exodus 24 was about. He says, you got the lamb's blood that you're eating, partaking in, becoming one with the lamb, and his blood is cleansing you so that you can go to your Father. Now look, the disciples at the time didn't even know what all of that meant. They really didn't. Their hearts were still hard. It wasn't until later that night that some of them, like Peter, would get converted. It wasn't until later, after his death and resurrection, that they would begin to understand. Remember, he said he began at Moses and went to the Psalms and the prophets and told them all the things concerning himself. See, so after he was resurrected, he said he began at Moses and went through the Psalms and the prophets and taught them all the things concerning himself. Because now they were ready to believe. Before, their hearts was hard. They was looking for earthly glory, but he had to take them deeper. He had to show them what this was about. His first appearance was to cleanse us from sin and reconstitute, as the Bible said, the restitution of all things. To bring restitution to Israel, to restore Israel. And that's what we awaken now. You and I are awakening now because of the Father's grace upon us. See what I'm saying? And when you understand that, in that covenant between you and your Father, see, and how that perfect righteousness is what causes you to be accepted. It's what brings you to obedience. All that Yahweh has said we will do and be obedient. Praise the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 20. I'm going to start at verse 4. Don't be terrified of your enemies. You see what we got on our side, brother? You see what we got on our side? Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 4. For Yahweh your Most High is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies and to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, what man is there that hath built a new house and hath not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man dedicated. And what man is he that planted a vineyard and hath not eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle and another man eat of it. And what man is he that hath betrothed a wife and hath not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. Praise the Most High. From verse 9 down to verse 14. Watch. And it shall be, watch this now, and it shall be when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make answer thee an answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. Where did you read that? I'm going to give you a quiz right now. You read that before. You did. Where did you read it? I'm going to even give you the prophet. It's written in Isaiah. This, what we just read. He said, if they give you peace, if they want to surrender, they'll be your tributaries. Where did you read that in Isaiah? It's in Isaiah. Where'd you read it? It's in Isaiah. They surrender to you and they want to be peace. Okay, be peace. You'll be our servants. It's in Isaiah. There's another witness. All right, let me show you. Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah 14. See what it say here? If they want to make a peace with you, okay. But they'll be your servants. See, some people think all the Gentiles are going to be our servants. No, not all. Just ones in these positions. The ones that are come now, that are early, that have joined with the scattered nation as Gentiles, no, they're not going to be our servants. They're going to come and get land with us, as Ezekiel tells us. But that's not all. You can't just make a monolith, but it tells you who they are. The ones that say, okay, we surrender. Don't destroy us, please. Well, what are they going to do? Isaiah chapter 14, from verse 1 down to verse 3. Isaiah 14 from 1 to 3. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. They shall serve us, servants and handmaids. Not all, but those that surrender. There's a group of them that's going to surrender. He's telling us right here. Okay, the same here in Deuteronomy. Okay, most of them are not going to. The majority will not, because they're under the power of Satan, and they're going to want to fight all the way to the end. Okay, but back to Deuteronomy chapter 20. He's going to show us all. Deuteronomy chapter 20. They shall be tributaries and serve thee. See, so you're going to have Gentiles that are coming to this truth right now, that are receiving the perfect righteousness of the Father and receiving Messiah as the Lion of the tribe of Judah and confessing with their mouth who the true Israelites are. There are Gentiles doing that right now. That's not who we're talking about. Those Gentiles you see in Ezekiel chapter 47, where it says they're going to come to the land, they're going to choose what tribe they want to dwell among, and they're going to get land, and they're going to have children in the land among the Israelites. That's a different crew of Gentile. Okay, the poor and the struggling Gentile that surrenders, they're going to be down with us. They cool, but the ones that are trying to fight, or the ones that come in at the end because they realize that the jig is up, they're going to be our servants. Praise the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 20. Okay. From verse 11 down to verse 16. Now watch this. Well, that's a good question. The Imam Prakash say forever? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It could be only 1,000 years. It's possible that it's only for the 1,000 years. It's possible. And then after the 1,000 years, we'll all be together. But I don't know. Imam Prakash, great question. I don't want to guess and tell you something by me guessing. You understand? But at least let's put it this way. It's at least for the 1,000 years. Does that make sense? It's at least for the 1,000 years. Okay. Praise the Most High. Good question. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 20. Deuteronomy chapter 20, from verse 11 down to verse 16. And it shall be, if it make thee an answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make war, that's most of them, against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And Yahweh thy Most High hath delivered it into thy hands, and thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the woman and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even the spoil thereof, thou shalt take unto thyself. And thou shalt eat the spoil of thy enemies, which Yahweh thy Most High have given thee. Isn't that what Zechariah said? You're going to have their spoil. They're going to have their food, their clothes, everything. You taking everything. Okay? And they're going to serve you. Thou shalt do unto all the cities which are far off from thee, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which Yahweh thy Most High doth give thee for an inheritance, thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth. That's Revelation 19, isn't it? That's Revelation 19. Matter of fact, it tells us also, let me see, where is it? Well, we see Zechariah also said we're going to get all the goods, right? We're going to take all their goods. We're going to destroy the ones that fight against us, which is the majority of them. Their whole system is going to be destroyed. Nothing is going to be left for their system. Nothing. Not a bank, not a house, not a country, not a government. All of Babylon completely annihilated. Okay? And we know the beast, the dragon, the false prophet, the 666 destroyed. Okay. All right. Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. If you remember in Jeremiah 51, it said we're going to destroy all men, women, children, everybody. But here are the ones that are alive are the ones that surrender. That's going to be our servants. Okay. Did I make that up or did it say it? Did I make it up or did it say? See, somebody gonna say, "Oh, that's not true. That's not true." Right? That's not true. But we just read it. Either you believe the word or you don't. That's the way I look at it. I believe what it says. It says there, right? I didn't make it up. We read it. We read it together. Go ahead and listen to this again. We read it together. Okay? It's in the word. Okay? All right, verse 17. Thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, as Yahweh thy most high commanded thee. Now we know in Ezekiel, it also talks about Gog, Magog, right? Meshach, Tubal, the children of Japhet. Okay, here was actually Hamitic children. But at that day, at the end, is children of Japhet, the great whores led by the children of Japhet. So now you can substitute these people for all the children of Japhet. Okay? That they teach you not to do after all their abominations which they have done unto their gods. So should ye sin against Yahweh your Most High. Right? Get out of Babylon, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. Isn't it say that in Revelation 18? And in Jeremiah 51? Yes, it does. And when thou shalt besiege a city a long time and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them. For thou mayest eat of them. Thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field is a man's life to employ them in the siege. Only trees which thou knowest that they not be trees for meat, thou shalt destroy and cut them down, that thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that maketh war with thee, until it be subdued. So he said, don't kill the fruit trees. You're going to need them. That's going to be part of your food. So don't kill the fruit trees. But the trees you need to make bulwarks, you can knock them down and destroy the city. He done handled every piece of it, man. He done handled every piece of it. Okay? He done handled every piece of it. Praise the Most High. Well, brethren, have we got some information today from the word or did we not? I think we did. We got some information from the word today. Okay. And so, and like I said, this is the type of information you would never hear in Christianity. They would never tell you that this is the situation. And yet we just read it. We just read the whole thing. Tell us everything. Okay. And to me, I just tell you my own experience with this, how much clearer the gospel became from reading Exodus 24. That's how much clear, because Messiah said, eat the bread. This is my body. That is the sacrificial lamb that they ate on the Passover. Then he said, drink ye all of this wine. This is my blood for the remission of sins. That's the covenant blood that Moses sprinkled on the people and on the covenant and on the altar. And they said, all that Yahweh has said, we will do and be obedient. So that the gospel of Messiah, the message of Messiah, is to bring us back to our Father into obedience. That's what the whole point is. Okay? Bring us back to our Father into obedience. And that's what it's supposed to do. See? But you would never get that clearly until you see both the Old and the New Testament in terms of how it's presented. So you can connect it together. See? You can connect it together. Praise the Most High. It's all one book, brethren. It's all one. It's all one book. People try to tell you it's two different Bibles. That's because they don't really know or have read the Bible. It's one Bible. And it all agrees. It all agrees. Okay? All agrees. Praise the Most High. And there's no errors in it. It's 100% perfect in doctrine. 100% perfect in doctrine and teaching. You just got to read it for yourself. Okay? Praise the Most High Yah. So we'll be back by the grace of the Most High Yah tomorrow morning at 11:30 probably. Going to visit my dad in the morning. But 11:30. And we'll go back into this word. Praise the Most High Yah. May the Most High bless you and keep you. And may he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yes, shalom to the nation. the chosen people. Shalom, brother.